Now, I've spent the last 3 years studying the biggest coaching businesses in the info space. I've broken down 8 plus coaching businesses doing anywhere from $1 million to $10 million a year. And from the outside, these coaches look completely different. I mean, like they have different niches, offers, personalities. However, these are the four patterns that are common in every single one of them. These 10 million coaching patterns that I'm about to break down in this video. Jacqueline used the exact same four patterns for herself to book 7 calls in one day for her own coaching offer. So if you want to get results similar to this, then stick around till the end because I've watched this four-part playbook rinse and repeat itself every single time. And I'm going to be showcasing the four patterns that $10 million coaching businesses use so you can start leveraging these patterns in your own coaching businesses. But first, you need to understand the lie you've been fed. Because a lot of people online they tell you to post more content without giving any thought and strategy behind it, run more ads whether you have the cash flow or not, and test more outreach scripts and just rip out outreach day in and day out. And you do these things, but it still doesn't get you to the 100K per month mark. It still doesn't get you the output you want. And then you think to yourself, what are you doing wrong? We'll stop doing this and start implementing these four patterns. And we're going to be going over the first pattern, which is understanding and becoming a main character. The concept of main character in personal branding is simply about positioning yourself as a relatable protagonist of your own professional story. Like instead of just blending in the crowd and not treating your socials as a media company as something that's important and something that's going to get you clients, you instead treat it as a faceless corporate resume. But instead, if you share your unique journey, values, and ongoing growth, you will build a genuine and real connection with your audience, and they're going to be emotionally attached to your brand, which is going to pay you back tenfold in the long run. And someone who does this really well is Shelby Sapp. Now she does this extremely well because she shows her audience her journey before she started high ticket sales and after, what her life looked like after she pursued the path of high ticket sales. Now, for example, before she shows her audience through her content that she used to work 3 minimum wage jobs and she was a sorority girl in college. Now, at 18 years old, she started a D2D sales internship and she made 70K in 3 months. But she doesn't explain this. She shows and tells the emotions and the thought process and what she was going through while making these decisions and while going through this. For example, she explains that before starting this internship, she didn't want to. She wanted to quit one day before the internship started, but her manager persuaded her to take the first step and actually do the internship, which led her to make 70K in 3 months. And then at 22 years old, she built $1 million D2D team, but she realized that this isn't the life she wanted because there were certain setbacks and she knew that she didn't want this lifestyle. So then she made a shift where she shifted from door-to-door sales to remote high-ticket sales because she wanted the freedom and like location freedom and all of that stuff. And making this shift, she made 27K in her first month. And now she realized that there was a gap in the market, that people are just throwing out sales tips, but they're not for women, they're for men. And hence she made She Sells Academy, which is specifically made for a sales community, made for women who want to get into high ticket sales. Now, at 24 years old, she has a $10 million network and she has a dream lifestyle. But truth is, if she just showed this part, not many people would be inclined. But she showed her entire journey, which gets people all the way who resonate from here to here to here to here to here to here. They resonate with all of the parts of her journey, which is why they're more aligned towards purchasing her offer when it comes to like learning high ticket sales over any other female coach out there, because she's shown her journey, she showed the highs and she showed the lows. Well, you might be thinking, Hadiya, this is amazing, but how can I implement it for myself to become a main character and actually position my brand as the go-to solution to my ICP? Well, this is the main character development framework that you need to follow. And I kid you not, take a pen and paper out and actually jot down the things I'm about to tell you. Because if you can do this correctly, then creating content would not only be 10x easier, but your ICP would be much more, would resonate with your content much more, and they'll feel more like driven towards purchasing your offer over anyone else's. And starting with this framework, the first point is the core drive. You need to establish your core drive. And there are two parts to the core drive: the want, which is the external goal. Now, it's basically what you want to achieve in the outside world. Now, for you, it can be 100K months, luxury cars such as Porsche or Ferrari or G Wagon or whatever, a dream watch or jewelry stack, and a remote lifestyle. Now, these are your wants, but you can't achieve them unless you have the need, which is the internal goal. It's basically the emotional, psychological, and moral transformation you need to make in order to get your wants. Now, for example, it can be proving yourself or to yourself or the world, or it can be separating your identity from the revenue you make, believing that you actually deserve it, or trusting others enough to delegate. Whatever your needs are, whatever your weak points are, you actually need to work on them so that you can achieve the wants. You cannot achieve the wants without having the need. The need is the central part that even later on in this video, it's going to be extremely beneficial. And together they create the actual mechanism that makes people emotionally invested and trust the results. Now, first establish your wants, but and then understand how can you get to the wants by first seeing what you need to internally work on. Now, this brings us to our second point, which is the backstory. Now, the backstory is crafted by different things, such as you first jotting down the pivotal moments and events in your life, certain traumas you had to go through, past experiences, both negative and positive, and relationships that either destroyed you or built you. Now, these are things that make up your backstory, but the core elements to actually like crafting your backstory is first understanding what is your past wound. The past wound is basically the cause that made you embark this specific journey that you're on. For example, dropshipping, Amazon FBA, like entrepreneurship in general, whatever. So first highlight the cause. It might be that you watched your parents struggle from a young age, and you saw them work, clock in and clock out, but not make the money they deserve, so you wanted to help out or whatever. Or you had rough financial conditions growing up, which made you understand that this is not the lifestyle you want to live. Or it's being excluded from the friend group that you have, and them not including you. Or it can be immigrating with nothing, $0, just a backpack, whatever. Understand what caused you to embark on this journey, and then you also need to identify the lie, which is the false belief you've adopted about yourself or the world because of the wound. Now, for example, wound one, which is watching your parents struggle, this wound might make you develop this false belief that everything could collapse. So, whenever you're working, you have this thought behind the back of your mind that everything could collapse, everything could collapse, which makes you make fearful decisions. So this is a false belief that you need to get rid of. Same is the case with wound number two, which is rough financial conditions. This makes you think money is scarce, and you operate from not an abundance mindset, but rather a scarce one. You make fearful decisions, you make scareful choices, whatever, and this is a false belief you have to get rid of. For wound 3, which is being excluded from friends, you think that you have to earn your belonging, that you have to take an extra mile to actually be in the presence of a certain person, or just have a normal friend group. And wound 4, which is immigrating with nothing, you think that if something goes wrong, that you failed on everyone who gave something up for you. Now, some of these beliefs that actually push you to reach your goal, but some of these beliefs actually cap you towards reaching your goal. So you need to get rid of them. Identify the false beliefs that you have and get rid of them, and replace them with beliefs that actually serve you. For example, instead of thinking money is scarce, think money is abundant and it flows to me naturally. Just get rid of your false beliefs, and the need is what actually it takes to unlearn the lie. So once you understand, once you go through the need, you'll unlearn the lie. So see, again, the need is extremely important. Now comes the third part, which is developing your character arc. Now, developing a character arc, it's basically the inner transformation a main character undergoes from the beginning to the end. It's basically like your entire story, and there are 3 different character arcs: positive change arc, negative change arc, and flat arc. Now, the positive change arc, it goes something like this. You start holding a lie rooted in your wound. So, a lie that is triggered by one of the wounds, one of the past experiences that you went through, you hold that. And then you face difficulty, which forces you to actually question that belief. And then, if you are good enough, if you do follow this positive change arc, you will replace it with a much more fulfilling belief, and this results in real transformation. Then comes the negative arc. And this is something that you should not go through, because instead of positively growing, you either don't change your limiting belief and false belief at all, or you adopt a darker, more dangerous belief that doesn't serve you and it actually leads to your downfall. So, this is something that you should not go through. And lastly, we have the flat arc, that the belief that you have from the start, whether it's good or whether it's positive, you hold tightly onto that belief, and instead of going through an internal change, people see the conviction that you have around that belief, and it reshapes the beliefs of people around you. So let's say you have a positive belief and you hold on to it tightly and you speak with it with so much conviction that people around you adopt that positive belief. But same is the case with, if you have a negative belief, people are around you are going to adopt that negative belief. So choose wisely which beliefs that you need to adopt. And this brings us to our fourth point, which is motivation and stakes. Now, motivation is something, basically it's the why, like what are you doing whatever you're doing for. And then stakes is the what else, if I don't achieve this, what will happen. Now, for motivation, you need to understand what was the originating push. It can be the past wound can be the originating push, and then who and what are you doing it for? Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for your parents? Are you doing it for your siblings? Are you doing it for the world? Who and what are you doing it for? What are you moving away from? Your current situation, maybe you have a rough financial condition, maybe this is not the life you want to live. What are you moving away from, and what are you moving towards? Then comes the stakes, external stakes. If you don't achieve your goal, what is the how will people around you be affected except yourself? Internal stakes is, if you don't achieve the goal, what will happen to you? The cost of inaction is, if you don't even go after that goal, what are the things that are like, what is the consequence of that? And the penalty, which is that if you don't even achieve the goal at all, what are the consequences and what is the penalty you'll face? Now, these are some things that you need to establish, because whenever you don't have motivation, your stakes will motivate you. And then when your stakes are there, they will automatically motivate you, because you don't want the lifestyle of you don't want the lifestyle of a person who didn't achieve the goal that you set out to achieve. And this brings us to our last point, which is the flaws and strengths. Now, there's three types of flaws: fatal flaws, which are not good flaws to have at all, and this is something you need to change, otherwise, it will lead to your downfall. Relatable flaws and imperfections, which is something that you should say in your marketing angles, because it makes people relate to you and it makes people resonate with you and understand that you're human too. For example, if you struggle with anxiety, you should say that, because there are multiple people maybe in your space who struggle with anxiety. And then functional purpose, like what are you actually doing and why are you actually doing this? Then comes your character traits. What are certain character traits you have? For example, you are a very honest person, or you're a very mature person, whatever. Understand your character traits and relate them to your marketing angles. Skills and talents. What are some skills that you have? What are some talents you've developed? And your moral compass. What is a line that you will not cross no matter what happens? And what are certain things that you believe in? If you're very vocal about this, trust me, you're going to attract people. Even if people don't resonate with you on the business side of things, they will resonate with you on the moral compass side of things. Now, this is the first part. And by the way, if you're a Make Money Online coach and you need help in implementing everything that I'm talking about in this video for your coaching business, then book a one-on-one call below to see how we can potentially work together. Anyway, back to the video. And the second point is, you need to speak to one specific avatar. Now, I'm going to give Shelby Sapp's example again, because she just does this so well. There are three layers she could go with, all ranging from least profitable to most profitable. Now, the first layer that she could go with for her own offer would be teaching sales to women. But this is the least profitable. If she chose this offer, it would be the least profitable to her, because it's not very specific. It's not like niching down on what sales she's talking about and what type of women she wants to attract. And then a mildly profitable offer would be teaching remote high ticket sales to women. Over here, she verifies and she tells the person what type of sales she's talking about, not D2D but high ticket sales, and she's talking to women, but she's not specified the type of women she wants to attract and the goal she'll help them achieve. But the most profitable range, her offer itself, and reason why it's so profitable is because she's so specific with the type of avatar she wants to attract, helping women stuck in their 9 to 5 hit 20K per month with high ticket sales. So anyone who's like below 18 would not probably be suitable for this, and then she automatically filters that certain segment out, and then she helps tells them that it's helping them achieve their first 20K per month with high ticket sales. Now the reason why it's most profitable because it's extremely specific and it talks to one specific avatar. Now you need to understand that you can't just like establish your avatar. You actually need to know their exact pain points they go through, the fears and the fears that they have, and the dreams they want to complete, the struggles and their current situation, the thought process they have to make a certain decision, and basically speaking their language. Now, anyone or anything else does not matter. Anyone outside your avatar does not matter. Anything outside these points do not matter. So, take out a pen and paper for everything, but especially this, and write down what are these specific, like, how does your audience think? How does your avatar think? How do they speak? What are their struggles, etc., etc. You need to dial these down because this makes your messaging resonate more and actually hit more to your audience. And now you might be thinking, okay, but like, why should I target a specific avatar over a broad group? Like, wouldn't I be attracting a wider audience if I talk to a broad group? Yeah, you would, but that audience most likely would not be qualified to even hop on a call with you, let alone purchasing your offer. Because targeting a specific avatar makes your messaging more personalized, like I said. So people actually not only like give attention to what you're saying, but they stick around till the end, and they know that whatever you're talking about, it is highlighting their current situation, and they actually give your word the attention it deserves, and it filters out time wasters. So anyone who isn't your ICP will not be included in this, so you don't have to hop on unqualified calls, you don't have to have unqualified conversations, and it has a high sophistication level, meaning doesn't attract anyone who isn't your ICP and a certain caliber. And then it actually helps your content convert, because right now the only reason why you're creating content is so that you can get clients, you can get coaching clients from the content you create, and it fulfills that purpose. And when your messaging actually targets a broader segment of the market, even if you're saying what you're saying is beneficial and it's the best advice your ICP has ever heard, it's going to land with no one because it doesn't speak to anyone in particular. It's not personalized. And the core components you need to actually be aware of so that you can make your messaging stick is understanding the market trends, consumer insights, and doing a competitor analysis. Now, first, you need to analyze what are the new opportunities, industry trends, technological shifts going on in the market so you can tailor your messaging accordingly. And then you need to understand your consumer insights. What are the psychographics of your consumer, their characteristics, their investing habits, their needs? Because once you reverse engineer this, you can basically include all of these things in your marketing angles. Like, for example, if you know the investing habits, if they you know they'll after seeing this they'll be much more after seeing this content piece, they'll be much more inclined towards purchasing your offer, you'll obviously create more of that specific content piece. Then comes like demographics. What is their certain income, their approximate age, and their stage of business? Are they in the earlier level or are they in the advanced and more higher level? And then the ICP itself, their pain points, desires, buying intent, content they consume, and negative and positive beliefs. If you understand the negative beliefs, let's say, you can then first show them why it's so negative and why they should get rid of it, and then give them positive beliefs they can adopt by. And then lastly comes analyzing again their strengths, weaknesses, loopholes, and acquisition strategies. How are they currently doing acquisition? What are certain things that they're missing out, which is why they're not making the money they create? What are their weaknesses and strengths? All of these things, these seem very nitty gritty, but these will make a lot of difference once you actually jot these things down. Now, this brings us to our third point, which is building a multi-dimensional brand. Now, why building a multi-dimensional brand is so important, because it gives your more reasons to your audience to actually resonate with you and your messaging. If your audience can relate to you, then they'll be more inclined towards investing in your offer than anyone else in the market. And a wonderful example of this specific thing is Suway. Now, he has multiple marketing angles which he constantly markets. For example, he tells his audience that he has a 400K per month consulting business. But let's say he just left it like that. The amount of attraction that he has right now, the amount of the brand credibility he's built right now, he wouldn't have been able to build that credibility if over just like one pillar, especially just having the pillar that he's saying that he has 400K per month consulting business. He had to resonate, he had to connect with his audience on a deeper level, on different levels. So then he tells that he goes to university. And this is something that takes people back, because people in the make money online space, they don't usually go to uni. Like, they drop out in high school or in uni, they don't complete it. But he's recently completed it, and it shows that he went to uni and he uses it in his marketing angle. Then he also explains the fact that he's a D1 basketball player. He has a great social life while juggling a 400K per month business, going to university and playing basketball, and he has good family morals. So if he doesn't connect to people on, let's say, having a 400K per month business or being a D1 basketball player, he can connect with multiple other factors. And this is so powerful. And once you understand this and start actually implementing this in your brand, I'm not even going to tell you the changes you'll see. You'll start seeing it yourself, how you're going to be getting inbound leads. People are coming to you on and talking about different things about your marketing angles, whether they might be saying, oh, I came to you because you have amazing business, or I came to you because I realized that we have a similar story, which I'm going to get into later. But they're going to connect to you on different levels besides work. And most coaches only talk about their work and treat their own personal life as an irrelevant factor, which makes them have a value brand instead of a personal brand. So no matter how much value you provide, at the end of the day, even if your audience likes your value, they're gonna go to a person who has a personal brand and who they actually relate to, not only when it comes to work, but also on a personal level. Now, you might be thinking, well, how can I understand what my ICP likes about me, and what can I actually do? How do I know the components I need to include from my personal life and market them? Well, this is where your onboarding form comes into play. You need to ask this question on your onboarding form, that why did you buy from me instead of the other options you have? Now, what this does is that you get to know what makes you so different and why people bought from you in the first place. Now, for example, 2 people said your personality. 5 people said how you manage time and balance everything. For example, gym, school, business, sports, etc. Your age, 3 people said, and 2 people said your story is quite relatable to mine. To mine. So you know which thing marketing angle to double down on. This one over here, because it has 5 people, meaning that many people are connecting to you on this level. It's not that you can neglect all of these aspects, you add them in other marketing angles, but you make a separate marketing angle which explains constantly about how you have time to balance everything and the systems you've created and all of that stuff. You need to launch more of what's working. And this is the thing that will allow you to hit that 100K per month mark. Now, the last and final point, which is daily touch points, and we're going to be talking about story sequences in particular. It is a more up-to-date version of email campaigns, and it's an underused asset to convert people, because a lot of people don't utilize the ecosystem they already have in place. They don't target. They try to get new people in their ecosystem, but they don't nurture the people they already have in their ecosystem. So story sequences are daily, they're custom, and it feels more authentic and trustworthy if you do it right. And someone who does this really good is Nick Setting, and he launches story sequences that evoke different emotions at different times. For example, this story sequence evoked the emotion scarcity. This one FOMO again, and this one conviction. Now, every single story sequences have different formats, different jobs, jobs which evoke different emotions. So you need to understand what story sequences you have to post at what time. And it is the perfect compounding mechanism. Nick describes it each daily story as 1% toward converting someone from cold to ready to buy. So if you can do this consistently, the person on the other side of the screen gets to a point where they have no choice but to invest into your offer, because you've given them multiple reasons on why you know what you're doing. You've given them multiple reasons to know you. You've given them multiple opportunities to like you. And you've given them multiple results to trust you. That's why when it comes to when you make a CTA, it feels inevitable to purchase your offer. And all of these $10 million coaching brands, Shelby Sapp, Nick Setting, they consistently abide by a story schedule. Like Shelby Sapp, she has her master classes, her webinars on Tuesday. The week before that, she keeps on marketing for her webinars. She keeps on telling her viewers, in her ecosystem already, that I have this webinar coming up, and if you want to do this, and if you want to stay away from this, you should join it. So this is how she gets people to actually hop on these webinars, which is, and she makes a lot of money from them, because when people actually come, they resonate with her, and then if they are on the right stage of the buying process, then they'll convert from her. And this is something that we actually provide to our clients as well, like having a consistent story schedule. And this is the reason why Jacqueline, when she made a story sequence, she booked 7 calls in 24 hours. Yes, pre-nurturing and like selling was done with her YouTube videos and stuff, but when the time was right and we launched the story sequence, people started to book in calls. So that's why it's so important. And you most likely right now treat posting story sequences as an afterthought. You'll post a result in your coaching business and like give a call to action once a while, rather than having a system to replicate this consistently. But you need to understand that instead of just randomly posting in one way, different stories have different jobs, and hence they have different formats. Now, these are the 4 most used types: curiosity driven story sequences, engagement driven story sequences, credibility driven, and journey driven story sequences. Now, each story sequence has different job and a different format. Like for curiosity driven story sequences, it's aimed for a cold audience, and it's designed to stop the viewer from scrolling and indulge the viewer in the story sequence. But it has like minimal text, and it has pattern interrupts. It has a very high reach, but it has low conversion rate, so it's just good to get attention. You should run these because it gets attention, but it doesn't have a good, like the best conversion rate. However, when it comes to engagement driven story sequences, it's aimed at a viewer who's already in your ecosystem, and the purpose is to nurture, not to sell. Just to make them realize like why your offer is the best, why you know what you're doing, everything, but like not selling them, hardcore selling them. The text is more longer and it's more heavy, it's more value driven, and it's like speaking about their pain points, alleviating their pain points, showing your offer as the specific solution. And the reach is medium, like it doesn't reach a lot of people compared to curiosity driven story sequences, but the engagement is of high quality. Like people would only, the only person that would actually watch the story sequence is if they actually give attention to your word and actually want to hear out what you have to say, and most probably are in a different, like a more advanced stage of their buying journey. Then comes credibility driven story sequences, and it's aimed at a viewer who's already nurtured, but they just need a push, a social proof, showing results, showing testimonials. The purpose is to convert, and it has, even though it has low reach because you're just posting results, you're posting testimonials, the conversion is the highest because you're showing proof that your offer and everything else works. And then comes our last story sequence, which is journey driven story sequence. Lastly comes journey driven story sequences. Wait, let me take out my pen. Yeah. And anyway, this is like something that's very overlooked in the info market. Like not many people are running these, but you need to understand that these sequences are aimed at the entire following. Like it's just not made for a certain part of your following, it's for everyone, because you're showing your journey, like your perspective, your journey, like how you came up to the level that you are. And it's basically transformation based, and people buy based on transformation, so it's extremely strong. And the purpose is to prove that the outcome is possible, so that people, if they have any doubt in their mind that, oh, this is not possible or this is fake, you show them your own results. Like, you think this is not possible, but I am living proof that this is possible, because I used to be this, list out what you used to be, and then now what you are now, and then it helps you gain an edge over your like anyone over the competition. because a lot of people will focus on these three story sequences, but they'll totally like not consider journey driven sequences at all. But if you can give this the attention it deserves, your audience will only be your audience. Like they wouldn't want to buy from someone else. They would only want to buy from you, which is extremely powerful once you actually experience it. This actually ties directly back to the rule of 7-11-4 rule. And this shows that people need to actually consume 7 hours of your content across 11 touch points in 4 different contexts. And if you run these story sequences, a daily story habit can generate 11 touch points in under 2 weeks, which actually shrinks the buying journey so people buy from you at a much faster rate. Anyway, that is it for today's video. Hope you found some value. We covered all the 4 parts that you need to have in order to build a $10 million coaching business. If you're interested in working with me one-to-one, then book a call in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video.